our schools. Don't mess with Texas children. I'm a parent and I vote. Protect the children. Keep our children educated. Absolutely, positively, children first. I'm a little worried about that children first line, though. Every time I hear some organization called Children First, Students First, they don't mean it. What they mean is, let's fire a whole lot of teachers. That'll put children first. Sorry. Well, when I was in the Houston schools, every day we got up and we said the Pledge of Allegiance, and it ends in the words, liberty and justice for all. I still believe that. We're not providing justice for all. When your state legislature cuts $5.4 billion out of your public schools and manages somehow to find $500 million for Pearson Testing Corporation. Now, the thing that I think is exciting about this rally, in addition to the fact that you've got so many great students and teachers and parents and community members out together, is that Texas is the place where the testing madness started. And Texas is the place where the vampire gets garlic in its face and a mirror wave and a stake in its heart. More than 800 local school boards say no to high-stakes testing. Moms against mad testing. So many groups that have sprung up to say, too much, this is not education, this is data. My child is not a data point. I live in Brooklyn, New York. You may have heard of it. My youngest grandson goes to a public school, and I like to say about him, he's in first grade, he is not a global competitor, he's a child. Now, you have heard again and again through the media, and some of these propaganda movies financed by extremists, that our public schools are failing. It's not true. The test scores today on the National Assessment of Educational Progress, the federal tests, are the highest they've ever been in history. The highest. They're the highest for white children, black children, Hispanic children, and Asian children. That's a secret. They don't want you to know that. And it's not because of testing. It's because of our superb teachers. I'll tell you another secret, and you won't hear this from the powers that be. The graduation rates in the United States of America today are the highest they've ever been in our history. The dropout rates, remember the dropout crisis? The dropout rates are the lowest they've ever been in American history. That's a closely guarded secret. But we have a crisis. We do have a crisis. We have more than one crisis. Let me go through a few of the crises with you. The first crisis is the public sector wants to take away our public schools. The private sector wants to privatize our public schools. That is a crisis. We can't let them do it. Say no. No! The second crisis is that we are being misled by the testing. The tests are being misused. They're being abused. Tests are supposed to diagnose children's needs. They're supposed to be used to help children. They're supposed to be used to help teachers. Instead, they're being used as a tool of punishment. That's wrong. The tests are being used to label students, to tell them that they're not good enough, to fire teachers, to close schools, to fire principals. This is all wrong. You do not improve a school by closing it. No. Just say no. No! The third crisis we face is that the people who are running our states and our federal government do not understand what standardized tests do. They don't educate, for one thing. They measure. They measure whether your parents went to college or not. They measure whether your family is rich or poor. They don't measure your character. They don't measure your quality of citizenship. They don't measure your potential to make a contribution to your community. Say no to the misuse of testing. The fourth crisis is that our society has the highest rate of child poverty among all the advanced nations of the world. Almost a quarter of our children live in poverty. In Texas, I suspect it's even more than a quarter. That is both a crisis and it is a scandal. Wherever there is poverty, wherever there is segregation and poverty, there are low test scores. Don't blame teachers and don't blame schools for a society's failure to provide equality of educational opportunity. Don't blame schools for failing to provide equality of economic opportunity. Crisis 5. The privatizers go on and on about the achievement gap, but nothing they are recommending will close it. More testing does not close gaps, it simply reveals them. The test, here's the big secret, the tests are designed on a bell curve. Bell curves are designed to have a top half and a bottom half. They always have a bottom half, they always have a top half. Half the kids are always in the bottom on the bell curve. The gap on the bell curve will never close so long as we're using standardized tests. Crisis 6, our nation is inundated with propaganda and false claims whose purpose is to undermine public confidence in our community's public schools. There are now 6,000 charters, and on average, the charters do not get higher scores than the public schools, unless they skim off the top kids and push out the kids with special needs and keep out the kids who are English language learners. Another of the popular ideas among the so-called reformers is vouchers. Vouchers have been tried in Milwaukee now for 22 years, and there is no difference in the scores among the students in charter schools, voucher schools, and the shrinking, withering public schools. After all of those years of competition, where does Milwaukee stand? 3 competing sectors. Remember, competition is supposed to rise, make all boats rise. When the national tests were given, the federal tests were given, Milwaukee is one of the lowest scoring districts in the nation, slightly ahead of poor Detroit. Please tell Senator Dan Patrick you don't want to be Milwaukee. Yeah. And then the reform movement, the so-called reform movement, has the cockeyed idea that you should evaluate teachers by the test scores of their students. One thing I learned when I went to Sanderson High School was that when I got a test score that was good or bad, I did the work, my teachers didn't. The research is very clear. When you evaluate teachers by test scores, you encourage the test to be more important. You encourage cheating, you encourage narrowing the curriculum. And all the scores show then is, are you teaching the affluent kids, or are you teaching the poor kids? And if you're teaching poor kids, if you're teaching children with disabilities, you will turn out to be not a very good teacher. This is a stupid way. This is a zombie idea. And that may explain why no other nation in the world is evaluating teachers by the test scores of their students. Another of the brilliant ideas put forward by this corporate reform movement is online charter schools. This is a money scam. Children are not educated by sitting at home in front of a computer. They are educated by contact with other human beings, children as well as teachers. The online charter schools have high dropout rates, but the online charter school keeps the money when the children return to the public school. The public school then has nothing. They have low test scores, low graduation rates, high teacher turnover, but they're very profitable for those who own them. They make a lot of money It's a corporate scam driven by money, not by an interest in children. And what about the parent trigger? It's better not to call it the parent trigger, call it the parent tricker. The parent trigger, which says you can vote to take over your school and then hand it over to a corporation to run for you. Trick parents into giving away their public schools. Don't let them do it. Say no. No! The next crisis is that our policymakers in the State House, in the U.S. Capitol, the U.S. Department of Education treat our children as lumps of clay that can be molded and standardized, and that's wrong. Every child is different. Every child is unique. There is no other child in the world like your own child. Every child deserves equal educational opportunity. Every child should have a good public school with experienced teachers, with small classes, with the arts, with history, with sciences, with foreign languages, with physical education every day, with a library, with librarians, with social workers, with guidance counselors and psychologists. I don't want to name names, but there are people who can afford really, really fine elite private schools where there's no standardized testing. This is what they have. It's good enough for them. It's good enough for you too. Every child in this country should have the medical care that they need. The eye test, the dental exams. Every child should have the chance to sing and to dance and to play an instrument and to draw. Every child should have the chance to dream. Every child should have the chance to create, not to pick bubbles on a standardized test. Every child counts, and we cannot measure what matters most, which is their character. We cannot close the achievement gap until we close the opportunity gap. When the reformers start talking about the opportunity gap, then you'll know they mean it. Don't let them destroy your public schools. Don't let them kill your children's dreams. Don't let them privatize your public schools. The privatization movement is a mighty hoax to grab what belongs to all of us. Educate your neighbors. Educate your neighbors. Educate your friends. The reform movement has only two things on their side. They're not inconsequential. They have political power and they have billionaires, lots of money, but there are very few of them. They couldn't create a crowd like this. We have numbers. We are many, they are few. We can overcome the advantage they have with the billions they have. The testing vampire started here. Kill it. We're fighting back. Stop the raid on taxpayers' dollars. Save the children. Save Texas schools. This is only the beginning. We will win.
Yeah!
We will get the schools we deserve. We will get the schools our children deserve. We will get the schools that our children need if we vote and act and speak out and elect the people who believe in our children. Thank you so much.